The game underway. Chelsea are building some good momentum. It is 5 wins in a row in all competitions, including the League Cup final win over Manchester United. From southwest of the capital to southeast for this one. And Helen Ward, it would be some accomplishment for London City Lionesses were they to shock everyone with a win here.
Yeah, it'd be absolutely huge. It'd be one of their best results in their history, probably. We were talking off air about that. This is the sort of game where they're not expected to come away with anything, probably, but from within, they'll know that that'll be a massive statement if they can put 3 points on the board this afternoon.
It's a loose pass. It's picked off really sharply by Thompson. Waiting in the middle, Beever-Jones. Swept in by Cuthbert. It's an excellent ball to the back post. Comes out to the edge, and a shot from range. Just slightly scooped over in the end by Lexi Potter, the 19-year-old who gets the nod in midfield again today.
Yeah, she's a really tidy young player. Spent some time out on loan for a couple of seasons and is now getting an opportunity for Chelsea. But before that, Alyssa Thompson, who's been a standout for Chelsea from the start of this season. Her pace is frightening, but she's really clever as well. You know, a lot of players in that situation would go to the byline and cross it straight away, but she looked up, saw that Aggie Beever-Jones was outnumbered, and instead looked to pick out a teammate with a pass. Really clever play.
Chelsea do have it back again. Ritten Kaneryd shifting it back. Siuka Nuskin playing at right back, as was seen in the week by Chelsea. The Euro unable to progress any further. And it is a Chelsea free kick. So Nikita Paris getting stuck in early, taking that spot on the left wing. So Chelsea have had a busier week than today's hosts, having beaten Brighton by 2-1. 19-year-old Lexi Potter, in fact, getting the winning goal on her first start in that game. But the 5 wins against the likes of Manchester United, Liverpool and Spurs, ever since the 5-1 collapse to Manchester City that you covered as well, Helen.
I did, and that was the last time I properly watched Chelsea play. They weren't at their best, it's fair to say, that afternoon. Really were put to the sword by a ruthless Manchester City. But since then, they've gone on a good run, as we spoke about. They're still suffering with those injuries, though, and you feel that's really hampered their season so far. You know, the likes of Millie Bright, Natalie Bjorn, they've really made Chelsea suffer in terms of consistent performances.
There's a concern here for Nikita Paris. She comes into the team today for Lucia Corrales.
Not entirely sure what happened there. It was a fairly innocuous one, which sometimes is a bit more worrying, but seems to be moving okay at the moment. Maybe just a little twist of the ankle, perhaps. You don't want to see that early in a game for any player.
Shifted on by Hampton into Buchanan. And it's something for Beever-Jones to chase. That has stayed in play brilliantly. Ritten Kaneryd just shut down by Linari, and Chelsea have their first corner.
Yeah, brilliant play from Beever-Jones. That's what she gives Chelsea as their forward. She will run the channels relentlessly. She's got so much pace and energy, but holds the ball up well. Brings Kaneryd into play, but Linari, all the experience, managed to see it clear.
Goes short to Thompson. Should score it, in fact. Cuthbert, wearing the captain's armband. Nice shift and the shot, and actually belted into a teammate in the end. Worked that nicely, though, Chelsea.
Yeah, you could see as soon as the ball was returned to Rowan Cuthbert, you were just waiting for her to pull that right foot back. Loves the goal, you know, from distance, from an angle. Just didn't quite catch it as she would have hoped, but a nice little bit of innovation from Chelsea from the corner. A little bit different to just swinging it in there.
Vicky Kaptein was actually the player in the way of it in the end. Goes back to Hampton. that week for worrying reading for London City Lionesses as well, that Chelsea have won 24 of their last 26 games against promoted teams. Although London City Lionesses are not your average promoted team in the Barclays WSL.
They're certainly not. They certainly hit the ground running in terms of their summer spending and everything around transfers. Definitely a different sort of pressure that they were coming into the league with compared to teams of years gone by. But it hasn't been easy for them, but I think as a first season in the WSL, on the face of it, they should be relatively pleased.
It's a probing ball into the middle, but let's say the goalkeeper who can gather comfortably. So London City Lionesses beaten 2-0 at home to Arsenal upon the return of the league season last weekend. Were only beaten on penalties by Spurs and conceded late for that to go to penalties in the FA Cup prior to the break in the season, but they had been beaten by Manchester United and Everton prior to that. And yet to enjoy a big result really against one of the top teams in the league.
Yeah, and they're hard to come by, even for the sides that have been in the division for a number of years. Beating those top four is traditionally pretty difficult, and often the league is decided by the results between those top four sides more so than anything else. So I don't think there's any shame to that. They haven't had too many attempts at it. You know, this is their first season and second game in history against Chelsea in a league fixture. So yeah, these things take time. No matter what you've spent, no matter how many players you bought in, the team's going to take a while to gel. Changing manager halfway through probably hasn't helped that either.
They're trying to gel here as Patterson whips the ball in. Sawi shuffles it away for Chelsea, but gives it back to Fernandez, the right back of London City Lionesses. Patterson, Paris. Those two linked up brilliantly for a recent defeat away at Manchester United down the left-hand side.
You would imagine that London City would want to try and get Freya Godfrey into the game a little bit more and test her up against Chelsea's youngster Chloe Sawi's obviously come into the team this afternoon, and although Freya Godfrey's not exactly old, she's got a little bit more experience in senior football and has been a standout player for the team. So I expect they'd try and get her perhaps 1v1 up against her just to see what she's about and, you know, try and create some opportunities from that right-hand side.
I'm all for calling a 20-year-old a veteran in a game like this today. But she's been excellent this season, Freya Godfrey, hasn't she? Really taken to the league after, obviously did well on loan, but that permanent move, the bold move to leave Arsenal. Yeah,
and credit to her, because it's not easy to do that when you've been at a club like Arsenal.
It might be in, but Hannah Hampton, so sharp off of her line so regularly, was there to sweep it away.
Yeah, when you've been a player at a club like Arsenal from, you know, a young age, and you've made your debut and you're sort of breaking into that team a little bit, it is a brave move to move away, but to go and get regular football at a team like London City that's on the up, it's in the same league, you know, and that's helped her break into the England squad now. I think it's a really bold move from her, but one that I think is working out, and one perhaps that Arsenal will maybe later live to regret somewhat, particularly if they lose Beth Mead, which has been, you know, the talk for some time. If she does end up going, who fills that spot on the right-hand side? You would imagine that someone like Freya Godfrey would have been a ready-made replacement, but yeah, credit to her for doing that. She's reaping the rewards, as I said, and yeah, she's been really exciting to watch this season.
4 goals, 3 assists in her 13 games to date. Here come Chelsea, and just give with a loose pass down the line. England under-23 international Freya Godfrey, but has been around the senior squad as well. Sangari. See Godfrey drifting in field, trying to get in possession. Linari. Moved on well by the Italian international into Patterson, and this is a really super move. Although Aslani offside, picking that up in the left-hand channel.
Yeah, it did just look like she'd gone slightly too early there. Assistant referee on the far side saw it. But yeah, decent little spell for London City, moving it well. And you talk about Freya Godfrey coming into the middle. It shows the responsibility she wants to take on her shoulders, even at her tender age. She really has become a player that London City can rely on this season. And she's not shy of getting on the ball in difficult areas.
Hampton launches, but it's a dangerous enough ball to get Thompson away. No foul. Thompson. Beaver-Jones, tight angle, good save. Referee let play unfold, and it's a first real attacking moment of threat from Chelsea.
Yeah, and we're seeing a little bit more of that from teams these days, a longer pass forward from Hannah Hampton. I did wonder if there was a little nudge, but there's probably not enough in it. Fair play to the referee. And Beaver-Jones makes a nice run, but it's a tight angle, and Linari does well.
Godfrey away, Nikita Paris in the middle, and Sawi with a crunching challenge. What a moment for the young defender.
Well, there's my answer. She's absolutely up to the task by the looks of it. Sawi against Freya Godfrey. That was a real opportunity for London City. I was just willing Godfrey to roll it across the front to, I think, Aslani, who was in the middle. That would have been a really good chance, 2v1, but absolute credit to Chloe Sawi that she's been trusted in that position for a reason.
She's actually done well, 2 against 1 to shut down Yana Fernandez. Is this the moment?
Yeah, it's a fantastic challenge. Showed great pace. Arguably used the wrong foot to tackle with, but got it right.
Fernandez. Oh, it's right across the face of goal, and no one attacked it. And Chelsea will be relieved.
They will, but this is what happened in the game at Stamford Bridge. London City had their moments. It happened again last week against Arsenal, particularly from wide areas. They're really good in wide areas, but then there's no one there just to get that final touch in the box and finish it off.
Cuthbert electing to just get that away. Patterson. Beaver-Jones, relentless, tries to shift that on to Cannerid, but well dealt with by Sangare.
Yeah, you'd imagine this would be as good an opportunity as any for London City Lionesses to inflict defeat on one of the big teams. You know, it's a patched-up Chelsea back four, really. Nuskan's not a natural fullback, so are we making her debut? Buchanan's been out for so long up until this point with her ACL injury. You know, and Berman's a young player that doesn't have a load of experience in this league at the moment. So is this the chance that London City have to go and get that big win? They're still a fantastic team, of course, Chelsea are, and those players in the back four are still very, very good players, top elite level players. So I'm not suggesting it's going to be easy, but will they get a better opportunity? I'm not so sure.
Millie Bright out injured at the moment with her ankle problem. Carpenter playing in the Asian Cup final earlier on today with Sam Kerr for Australia as they went down 1-0 to Japan. And the City Lionesses with a couple of players of their own involved in that game, Kumagai and Kennedy. In fact, you could see, you were making the point to me, Helen, about the dominance of the Barclays WSL given the 2 team sheets for that final.
Yeah, it's a crazy number of players involved. It was almost a WSL game abroad, which is not something we want to see just yet in terms of marketing and stuff. But no, it was good to see that the strength of the league across the world now. Sometimes I do worry that the influx of talented foreign players is that hampering the British players. I don't know. Maybe not. Maybe I'm just, you know, trying to be too much of a romantic and wanting more British players to play in the WSL. But yeah, it shows the strength of the league, the number of clubs that had players away and represented in that final, particularly this morning. I think goes to show how highly regarded the division is now in world football.
Buchanan's going to try and tidy this up for Chelsea. Berman. Back to Hampton again. Sawi. Wait to see her get forward as well from her left-back position. Chelsea just about keep hold of it. Captain nearly dispossessed. There's an early ball out to Poppy Patterson. And she is goal side of her defender. Oh, and again, there's no one there quite to make it. Godfrey will try and recycle. And no free kick for the challenge on Thompson. Godfrey has gone in behind Sawi. That does seem like a crucial head-to-head today.
Yeah, it's 1-1 in terms of challenges between Thompson and Fernandez. But yeah, I think Godfrey is certainly a player that London City want to get into the game. Clever little run off the back of Sawi there. But again, it's that final cross or positioning of a forward. It's just not quite right for London City, but they do have a corner to try and inflict some damage.
Tried to work a little routine, and Aaron Cuthbert, the captain, with the no-nonsense clearance.
That's one of those Avit moments, wasn't it?
Exactly what I was going to say.
Maybe some of the older listeners will remember the advert.
Yeah. Fernandez will take the throw in here. Spain international's been playing very well of late. Scored a screamer against Spurs as well in the FA Cup last month from distance. Clever back heel. Can't quite work it into Gayoro. So he's done brilliantly there to make a pass. Captain. Thompson has the pace to get there first, but so does Fernandez.
Yeah, she's been a good signing for them. Every time I've watched London City Lionesses, Fernandez has been a pretty consistent performer, and it's no small task to be dealing with Thompson this afternoon, who has absolutely got pace to burn. And she stayed with her well there.
Yeah, summer recruit from Barcelona. Can they work something here, Chelsea? Oh, it's a good ball, and flags up anyway, it would appear, against Jurka Nuskin.
Yeah, Nuskin's attacking instincts, getting her into the box at the far post. That's what you want from your opposite full-back and your opposite wide players, but just went a bit too early, a bit too far. It was pretty close, though.
It certainly did. All loose kick. Tim Canary trying to shape into a shooting position. Cuthbert, oh, good ball. Beaver-Jones for the turn. Thompson. She will retrieve it here, the American international. Sawi. It's a super touch from Captain. Shifted out by Buchanan. Nuskin in. Two runners at the back post, but neither can turn it in. And London City just about survive.
Yeah, Chelsea starting to grow into the game a little bit now, forcing some pressure in this half of the pitch. Alyssa Thompson at the heart of everything at the moment, as you would expect. Just before that, Aggie Beaver-Jones didn't quite get her turn right inside the box, and the chance was gone. But yeah, they're starting to ramp up the pressure a little bit now, Chelsea. well defended, in fairness, at the back post. I think it was Fernandez again, just about doing enough.
Aslani and a donk. Ioro. Now they look to move. Just passes too loose, and Hannah Hampton will retrieve it for Chelsea. Do you think there'll be any part of these Chelsea players right now, Helen, that think they can catch City? You'd look at the fact there's 5 games remaining, they don't play them either. That makes it seem pretty unlikely.
I think they'll know that it's going to be a very difficult task, and they're relying heavily on Manchester City having an almighty collapse. However, they've been in positions before where they've been not the favourites, quite, considerably the underdogs. I can't remember the season where they had to win by a certain number of goals and they beat Bristol City. I think it was 2 years ago, 7 or 8-0, and that brought them right back into the title race, and then Manchester City slipped up. So they have got previous in terms of overcoming leads and deficits, but this season just feels that it's a bit too big. So I think their priority will be in trying to win every game they've got left, so they give themselves the biggest chance possible. Hope that, of course, Manchester City slip up, but I think their focus will be trying to get consistency in their performances, getting players back to their best, ready to try and challenge for the Champions League and the FA Cup. And you would have to say that if they end the season with that sort of treble, yes, without the WSL.
Well, they're in here. Rutin Canarid jabs it into the net. An utterly ruthless finish when presented a chance. And Chelsea, to the delight of their travelling support in South East London, strike first.
Wonderful finish from Rutin Canarid. She's not been consistently in the team of late, from the start of games at least, but I felt she started the season quite strongly for Chelsea, so I was surprised to see her come out of that side. But that's a fantastic run from out to in. It's a hopeful ball forward, really, from Buchanan. Aggie Beever-Jones doing what good number 9s do and being that presence, flicking it on. All too easy for Chelsea. London City will be disappointed with how easy that was for them. I think only West Ham has kept fewer clean sheets than them in the WSL this season, and that will really hurt them.
Just a second Barclays WSL goal of the season, but one brilliantly constructed by Chelsea and finished by the Swedish international Johanna Rutin Canarid. I'm sure you appreciated the quality of that flick on as well. Helen,
yeah, I did.
Jones.
I really enjoyed that. It was a nice. She had a little look. She knew exactly what she was doing, and the run makes it, because if Rutin Canarid doesn't make that run from the right into the middle, Aggie Beever-Jones is flicking that onto no one. It's all she could do. So it's an exceptional piece of link-up play between the two of them. Really simple football when you look at it, but that's the sort of football that wins matches.
So Chelsea in pursuit of a 6th win in a row in all competitions, 1 up here. Cuthbert shifted on, Captain shifting it to Thompson. Beever-Jones in the middle. A lovely drop of the shoulder here. And the shot from distance is well shut down. Cuthbert drops the shoulder herself before unleashing one with her left foot. Ioro and Paris, as London City with their pace look to counter. Aslani. And it's a foul by Nikita Paris, much to her dismay, that sees the counter-attack come to nothing.
Yeah, I think it was a foul. Just pulled Nusken back and didn't allow her to get off the floor. But yeah, going back to, as before I was rudely interrupted by Rutin Canarid's goal, I think if Chelsea finish the season with a different sort of treble, you have to say that's a good season, because it would include that, that Champions League that they've been after for so many years. The WSL is their bread and butter. They do want to win the league as often as they can, and they have done for so many years, of course. But if they could get their hands on the Champions League and add it to the League Cup and then potentially the FA Cup as well, then you'd say that it's not been as terrible a season as maybe we have made out at times. but there's a long way to go, of course.
It certainly is. London City Lionesses, when hosting them, Manchester City and Bromley last month, gave them a real scare. City getting their winner late in the game. Manchester United got a late winner against them last month as well.
And that's probably been quite a part of the frustration for London City Lionesses. They're never really massively beaten. You know, there's not many times where they've been completely and utterly outplayed and run off the pitch, but at either end, they're just not as ruthless as other teams in each box, and that's where games are won and lost.
Ball in by Fernandez, trying to pick out one of those attacking players for those in sky blue. Belted away by the Dutch international, Phila Berman. Helen mentioned it there, 3 clean sheets for London City Lionesses this season. Only West Ham with fewer, and it will be 1 clean sheet in 12. We'll read the record after the concession of that goal. But they look to threaten down the other end, and Nikita Paris will charge into space here. And Paris had her shoulder pulled back, couldn't get the shot away. Captain was one of those retreating. Looked mildly delayed in actually going to ground, but the referee was right on top of it.
Yeah, and it was a nice move again from London City, but I think that's where they miss an Izzy Goodwin or an out-and-out focal point at the top of the pitch. Aslani's so good at dropping into the midfield, but it means that you lose something in the middle of the pitch going forward, and Nikita Paris always looked like she was trying to find a teammate and was thankful for the little tug on the shirt or the shoulder, which enabled her to go down and win a free kick. But if that doesn't happen, she was really short of ideas and options to make something happen for her team.
Three over the free kick now. Aslani, as captain, Maypole rank. Fiora's on the scene too. This whole flurry of players who've stood over this at one point. So who's going to take this here? London City Lionesses, free kick in a great position here. And bent towards goal, but it's straight to the goalkeeper from Gayoro.
Yeah, I mean, that was pretty tame in the end. Sometimes the free kicks that are too close to the area are actually the hardest ones to get something from, because to get it up and over or around a wall from that distance is quite tough. So where you might think that it's better to have it closer in, sometimes you want it another 5 or 6 yards back to give you a bit more room. You know, she hits it okay, but it's straight down the throat of Hannah Hampton, and it's going to take a lot more to beat a goalkeeper of that quality.
Well, Buchanan just about got out of trouble. Lovely drop of the shoulder from Lexi Potter, and that will be a yellow card. Anna Marchetto in midfield is shown a caution.
Yeah, Buchanan not looking like she'd been out for almost a year with an ACL injury, and Lexi Potter showing all the qualities as to why she's being trusted in the heart of midfield with the likes of Kira Walsh sat on the bench this afternoon.
Set towards Sawi. Nice turn. Beaver Jones is with her, and just coming together with Rossa Sangari in the eyes of the referee. Inari, Sangari, Chelsea will apply the pressure.
Yeah, it looked like Sangari was just a bit stronger than Beaver Jones there.
Fernandez goes down under the challenge from Lisa Thompson. Just under the studs of Sawi, but Chelsea do manage to pick it up again. Shifted back by Thompson. And good pressure from Godfrey as well, as it's belted away by Hannah Hampton. Thompson. Tripped. You've been impressed with how well Elisa Thompson's taken to the league.
Yeah, I think she's an excellent player. You know, we talk a lot about her pace, but she's a lot more than that. I think her quality on the ball is fantastic. Her work rate's tremendous. That pace obviously really does help, but, you know, for someone so slight as well, she holds herself really, really well, causes problems. She's played out wide on the left, she's played on the right, she's played as one of those sort of false nines in the middle, and she seems to affect every game that she plays in. I like her off the left, I have to say. I think, you know, the way the game is, that's a really important position, it feels, a right-footed player coming off the left of the pitch, and she does it so well. Always looks to be a target for her team to find, either to feet or in behind. I think she's been a top signing.
Not the tallest either, but scored a super goal from across in the week against Brighton.
Yeah, it hasn't taken her long to settle in at all. You know, and sometimes there's a big sign-in, a big money move. You can see that weighs heavy, but not for her.
Eva Jones' persistence. Hitting Cannerid. Floats across. It's punched away by Lette.
I'm sure she would have heard from Emma Hayes the demands of the league, the demands of being a Chelsea player, and, you know, I don't know how much influence Emma Hayes still has. Probably not much at all anymore at Chelsea, but I'm sure there would have been conversations, and if she didn't think it was right for Elisa Thompson to go there, she probably wouldn't have gone.
Chelsea in again. Lette was off of her line really sharply this time. Yeah, Buchanan.
Lette did well there, because it looked for a second that it was just going to open up for Erin Cuthbert to slide it in.
Sawi, lovely drop of the shoulder and pass. Rotating Cannerid. Gets her crossing position, trying to get away from Patterson, who's actually stopped her getting that favourable angle pretty well. Berman. Cuthbert. Sawi. Oh, the cutback is excellent! And the two teenagers nearly link up as Potter was there to meet it.
Yeah, fantastic play. You can see the faith that those senior Chelsea players have got in the youngsters. It's Erin Cuthbert from one end of the age spectrum to the other, out to Sawi, and then Lexi Potter doing what all good midfielders do, arriving late into the box, dare I say Frank Lampard-esque, but not quite getting the finish that she wanted. But good play from Chelsea.
It's kind of the manner of her goal in the week as well. Thompson. They back off her here for a moment. Cuthbert. Potter with time and space again. Sawi. Cuthbert. Good turn from Chelsea skipper for the day. Thompson. Oh, just about you wondered if Sangari would get the timing of challenge right.
Yeah, Sangari's done well there. Little shimmy from Thompson. You're just waiting for it to explode off the mark and get to the byline, but Sangari watches it all the way. I've been pretty impressed for the most part when I've watched Sangari play. I think she's a good young defender for London City. I think she's been solid, and she does well there.
On loan from Lyon for the season, and having to defend again from Cuthbert's corner. That's not a foul. Referee plays on, and they got runners at the back and helped by Lette. Muskin was one of those around the back for Chelsea.
I think it was Nuskin and Sawi up there, the teenager, trying to get herself on the end of the cross. Certainly the last 10-15 minutes or so has been all Chelsea, aside from the free kick that London City had. They'll be hoping from a Chelsea point of view that they can extend their lead before half-time, but you know, while it's 1-0, London City will always feel there's a chance of getting back in it.
Can't help but notice that it looks like Freya Godfrey and Nikita Parris have actually swapped sides for the moment for London City.
Yeah, they have, and whether that's because Freya Godfrey wasn't getting so much success against Sawi.
Thompson off, Fernandez. Well, it looked like she was beaten. One back by Beaver Jones again. Tries to swivel away from Sangare, but there's Nikita Parris. And it's a throw-in to London City Lionesses.
Yeah, that was very impressive by Fernandez. Has to get that right on the edge of the penalty area, but gets her foot around, hooks it. And Sangare's there to help clear up. But she's really sticking to her task well, Fernandez against Thompson.
Parris blusters her way through Sawi. Free kick given. Is it going to be a card? Nope. That was immediately what Nikita Parris is asking. She'd much rather face a fullback on a yellow card, of course, Nikita Parris.
Absolutely, and I think she's probably got a point there. She's just about to burst clear, but then you have to say she's in her own half. There's still a lot of the pitch ahead. You know, I don't think it's one of those cynical, deliberate pullbacks. Perhaps if it was, it's more of a coming together there. So I can understand from both sides why Nikita Parris wants a yellow card, but I can also see from the referee's point of view where she's a little bit reluctant to give one in that moment.
Well, let's remind ourselves of the goal and the wonderful flick on from Beaver Jones to set away Ratun Canarid.
Yeah, just splits those two centre-backs, and Canarid's made that run sort of on the blind side of them both to get in behind. They're both being drawn into the centre forward, which is of course Beaver Jones, and Canarid just comes off the back of them and finishes it superbly.
Potter fouled, and it will go back for a free kick.
She's really done well in there, Lexi Potter, this afternoon. I think she's willing to put herself in amongst it in terms of the physical battle, but you can see her quality on the ball as well, the little body feints, the change of direction. You know, sometimes you don't have to touch the ball to sell your opponent, and she's really, really good at that.
Parris to chase this, and she will get the throw in. Lexi Potter signed a professional deal at 17, the first professional female player to do that at her age.
You can see why they wanted to tie her down to a deal at such a young age.
Good cheer from the away ends. Been at Chelsea since the age of 8. She has had a loan spell as well at Crystal Palace. Lexi Potter.
Yeah, and you know, players going out on loan, I think it's a really big growing point. You know, she went out first off in the Championship, obviously WSL 2 now, and to learn your trade in a physical division, you know, where points are on the line, you've got crowds at games, you know, and also in a season where they were in a title challenge, ended up winning the league, Crystal Palace that year. She played a huge part in that, and I think that's so important for a young player's development. You know, we see at Watford, we get young players in on sort of ADRs or loans quite often from the bigger clubs, and you see the growth in those players from the start of the season to the end, how they apply themselves, the mentality. You know, you might go from an under-21s game where as a forward you're getting 10, 11 chances a game, scoring 3 or 4 goals, to a competitive senior game where you maybe get 2 or 3, and can you put one of those away to make it count? And I think you see them grow in that way, and Lexi Potter certainly did that at Crystal Palace, and then obviously the second season playing WSL football as well would have been massive for her. And you can see now she's ready to make her mark in one of the best teams in the country, certainly, and probably in Europe and the world as well.
Well, you know, there's no time for free debuts in this team right now, because yes, it's unlikely Chelsea are going to catch City. It's not guaranteed they're going to finish top 3. There's still a real race for Champions League football on, with Arsenal and Manchester United behind.
Absolutely, and Sonia Bonpastor touched on it before the game when she was talking about Chloe Sawi and how well she trains with the first team. She's seeing day in, day out them compete against top players, you know, within their own training environment. And yes, training is very different to playing matches and competitive fixtures. She's seeing every day what those players have got in their locker, and she's got the confidence to put them in then in big games, which, yes, of course, this may not have a title riding on it, but they still need to pick up as many points as they can, and she's happy to put them in there.
Patterson will cover off that pass from Cuthbert, but Chelsea will maintain their attack coming up to half-time. Let's give her the throw in for Chelsea. And Beaver Jones, has she earned a corner? Yes, so Chelsea with a corner that she was looking to take herself quickly. But it will be left for the Scotland international Erin Cuthbert. Hung in, and the header down from Buchanan, looking for her first goal since that long layoff through injury.
Yeah, always a difficult one, that, you know, the corner out swinging, not lots of pace on it. She'd have had to do an awful lot to get that in the back of the net and couldn't quite do it. Maybe was just looking to flick it on more than anything, but nobody there from a Chelsea Blue to pick up the pieces.
Let's check in on some of the scores elsewhere in the Barclays WSL this afternoon. You could argue all three other games in the midday kickoffs affect this one. The league leaders, Manchester City, who are way out in front at the moment, well, they're 4-1 up on Tottenham Hotspur as things stand. A first half hat-trick, unsurprisingly, for Bunny Shaw. Arsenal are taking on lowly West Ham. And Blackstenius with a goal there that gives Arsenal a 1-0 lead approaching the break. And the other team breathing down Chelsea's neck, Manchester United, they're 1 up. Another crucial goal from Elizabeth Turland. A reminder that Chelsea just need to keep winning games right now.
Yeah, they just need to look at themselves. There's no point worrying what's going on elsewhere. They can't have any influence on that whatsoever. The only way they can influence it is putting pressure on by winning games, as you said. So they'll be looking to seal this one. You know, it's gone very similarly, in my mind, to the game last week that I saw London City play, where they had some good spells at the start, but once Arsenal scored, you felt that it was just a matter of time before they got another, and it feels a little bit like that with Chelsea this afternoon. So Chelsea, from their point of view, will want to go and put this one to bed, but maybe at half-time we might see 1 or 2 changes from London City Lionesses. Do we see the likes of Cascarino, Izzy Goodwin to give them a bit more of a focal point in that top line, go and try and cause some problems for, as we said, a patched-up Chelsea back four? Or is it going to be much more of the same?
I mean, you confessed you were kind of surprised that Delphine Cascarino didn't come in for that first league start today.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not privy to her physical condition, her fitness. I know she's come obviously from America, where they've been in pre-season, so she's not coming in fresh off of games. But she looked good. She made a difference, a tangible difference, when she came on against Arsenal last week, and looked like, had she been on for a bit longer, she may have made something happen. Izzy Goodwin as well. She's such a presence. Okay, she's sometimes can be a touch wasteful in front of goal in this division. It's, as I said, it's not quite the same as WSL2 when you're going to get chance after chance in a good side. But she is a presence, and she does draw the attention of defenders, which even if she doesn't end up scoring, it may free up space for others. So I'd be surprised if we don't see them at some point in the second half, or early enough in the second half. But yeah, I would have liked to have seen Cascarino from the start. She looks really exciting.
1 additional minute. I'm sure her involvement is running through the mind of Edda Maestro at the end of this first half. Here's Buchanan. Cuthbert, who keeps popping up in this little pocket to pick up possession. Helen, what are your overall thoughts on the first half here?
Yeah, it's been fairly one-way traffic, you know, without it being a 100% dominant performance by Chelsea, but it's been pretty comfortable for them. You know, you mentioned Erin Cuthbert. We've seen a lot of Lexi Potter, captain at times. Haven't really mentioned the midfield of London City Lionesses. When you think of the talent they've got in there, in Gayoro, Van der Donk, I know Marchetto's a bit younger and not quite such a high-profile player. We haven't spoken about them, barely mentioned their names, and I think that says a lot about a game when the midfield is being dominated by one team. That tends to suggest that the game's going in that direction.
See if London City made changes there as well. Before the break, a Chelsea corner. And Aslani half clears it really. Sawi will retrieve. Buchanan, there is the half-time whistle. So yes, a comfortable first half in truth for the champions Chelsea, with the likes of Arsenal, Manchester United breathing down their necks. The Blues, as things stand, will hold on to second spot in the table because of the goal on 12 minutes, brilliantly taken by Johanna Rytting-Kaneryd, flicked on by Beaver Jones into her path midway through the first half. And as things stand, that's the difference at the break, at the Den. London City Lionesses 0, Chelsea 1.
Yeah, she's had a long time out with injury, in fairness, but she just doesn't quite look like she's as sharp as you'd want her to be. You know, it's tough coming back into the team against the likes of Arsenal and Chelsea. It's a big ask, but yeah, the games are sort of bypassing her at the moment, so I'm not surprised to see a change. I'm perhaps surprised to see still that there's no Delphine Cascarino.
Well, Chelsea have made a change on the wing, and the first half goal scorer, Johanna Rytting-Kaneryd, is off. And on comes Sandy Baltimore, who can play at full-back, and we've seen her play at full-back a fair amount recently, but is a left winger too, the French international. And it means that Alyssa Thompson here, Helen, appears to have gone out to the right-hand side.
Yeah, just as I said in the first half, how much I like Alyssa Thompson coming in off the left. She's been moved to the right, but I'm not Sonia Bumpastor, and there's a reason she's in the position she is, and I'm sat here talking about her team. But Baltimore's a fantastic player, and I really enjoy watching her play as well. You know, a real box of tricks, versatile. But I like her as a left winger too. I think she can dominate a fullback like no other. You know, direct, fast, quality on the ball, intelligent decision making. I think, you know, that's certainly not a downgrade, that substitution.
Swiped by her compatriot Sangare. Oh, Thompson's won it, and Beaver Jones is in, and it's a really good stop from Letta. I did wonder if she was offside, but the flag stayed down, and that's a big chance for Chelsea.
Yeah, and Aggie Beaver Jones personally probably could have done with that going in the back of the net. You know, she started the season absolutely on fire with 4 in 4. Did score last week in the cup final, of course, but in terms of BWSL goals, she struggled a bit since the early part of the season, and you're just waiting for that to hit the back of the net. You know, Alyssa Thompson pressing well, is onside just about, I think, but that first touch just gets a little bit caught under her foot, and then she doesn't quite have the composure that we saw from Rytting-Kaneryd in the first half.
It's great work from Nikita Paris, who finds Fernandez. Well, Sawi not playing like someone making their first Chelsea start today. She's been excellent at full-back.
Yeah, she looks a real talent, Chloe Sawi. You can absolutely understand why Bumpastor has trusted her in that position. You know, I've talked a lot about the makeshift look of Chelsea's defence this afternoon, but to put a youngster in amongst that shows the faith. You know, it's one thing putting her in there alongside a Millie Bright or a Lucy Bronze, players with loads of experience.
Aslani shifts it on to Nikita Paris. She goes down, and Nikita Paris is about to get herself booked for simulation.
Singing the praise of Asari, I wondered if the referee was going to point to the spot then, but she seems pretty convinced that there was nothing in it. and I think the referee's right there. I think Nikita Paris is playing for it. There's one sort of half a step, but there's no challenge for the ball. I think that's a good decision.
Yeah, she didn't put up too much of a complaint, actually, Nikita Paris.
It's unusual to see a player booked for it, though. It's one thing not giving the penalty, it's another to actually book the forward. We don't see that often.
Sangari does well to sweep that way from Baltimore. Here's Fernandez. She was running into trouble, but London City will be able to play out. Back in with Fernandez again. Lovely drop of the shoulder. Sawi's there again with a challenge. Chelsea fans watching at home and those at the Den today must be over the moon with her 50 minutes so far.
Yeah, I think so. And left back hasn't been an easy position for Chelsea to fill this season. There's been a number of players that have played there, arguably out of position. You know, you mentioned Sandy Baltimore, who I'm sure would much prefer to be higher up the pitch as she is this afternoon. So to have a player like this that looks ready-made for the position, you know, that's a major boost, not just for right now, but certainly for the future, being so young.
They've just jinxed her because she's given the ball to Nikita Paris. She's being chacked by Beaver Jones, of all players. Paris still going. And she has earned London City a corner early in the second half.
Oh, commentator's curse, isn't it? But no, good play again from Nikita Paris. Shows her strength and power. Beaver Jones knows as soon as she gets into the area she can't touch her, but good covering from Berman.
Takes up her place in the box, Nikita Paris. So Poppy Patterson to sweep this in. Well, the corner's right into that near post. Looked a good delivery. Will be recycled. And that's an even better cross this time, and hooked away brilliantly. It was Nuskin who provided the acrobatics. Aslani tries to get it back in there. Good stuff from London City.
Yeah, really good. And they do this, London City. They start each half really well. They're always on the front foot. You know, you wonder, does the head coach have some really inspiring words just before they leave the dressing room at, you know, the start of each half? Because they do come out all firing, but it's just about making that count.
Another delivery from Patterson. This one's a low one, and it was jabbed towards goal. And the second half substitute, Lucia Corrales, is the player onto it.
Yeah, clever attempt. She's gone beyond the front post, just trying to back heel it towards goal. Takes a deflection, I think, off the heel of Captain there.
Third successive corner. These deliveries have been excellent from Poppy Patterson. Just about headed out, and the shot from range. Look up, it's going to dip just over the top. Fernandez, we know that she has got a screamer in her locker.
Yeah, decent enough effort. Never really looked like it was troubling the goal, but it's a decent connection, and for a split second may have had Hannah Hampton worried in the Chelsea goal. But yeah, that's, as I said, a positive start to the half for London City Lionesses, forcing, you know, some dangerous set-piece situations. But again, I keep coming back to it, it's about making that count. It's about making those chances, turning them into goals.
We need a change in ball here, and we do.
Nice little half volley from the referee there.
It's excellent technique from Emily Heaslip. Let's give her a juice. Here's Hampton. Flicked on by Beaver Jones to Thompson. Patterson battling with her. Oh, and Thompson inexplicably wriggles away with the ball. Just couldn't thread that pass, having done the hard part. Denari and Patterson will get this away.
It looked like there was a bit of an overload there for Chelsea as well. If Thompson had been able to get the ball through, that would have been dangerous.
Kadisha Buchanan will be relieved to come out of that situation. While she looked under real pressure there from Freya Godfrey.
She looks a lot calmer than the Chelsea fans would have felt, I'm sure.
Bear in mind that her appearance in the FA Cup against Manchester United last month was her first game in 469 days. And she goes and starts the League Cup final.
Yeah, I did her a disservice there, saying she was out for almost a year. It was over a year.
Corrales over the head of Fernandez. Cheto back into the middle. And the flag is up. And Nikita Paris looks to the sky in frustration again. The call was a shout for Sandy Baltimore to get possession, and she did, but Eva Jones was in an offside position anyway, it looked like.
Yeah, just held on to it ever so slightly too long, Baltimore there. It's one of my favourite calls, actually, hearing Bon Pastor in that French accent, calling for Sandy. It makes me smile every time, but it was the right ball. It was excellently executed by Hannah Hampton, but yeah, just held on to it a bit too long.
Buchanan's lost out. Godfrey has it back! She's never afraid to shoot from range. This time on her right foot, and Freya Godfrey threatening for London City.
Yeah, that was a nice piece of play from London City Lionesses. Nikita Paris has been at the heart of a lot of good things for the sky blue side. Nice little touch off for Godfrey, who's moved into a central position in the second half after the change. Aslani dropping into the 10, but Godfrey given a bit more of a physical presence perhaps in that number 9 position, and probably be a little bit disappointed that she didn't hit the target.
Eda Maestra is making further moves because Julia Rodar's on. There's going to be some game time for Izzy Goodwin, the majority of this second half. And Delphine Cascarina, so a couple of substitutions, I imagine, Helen, here, that really catch your eye.
Yeah, certainly. I mean, we're just saying Freya Godfrey had moved into the middle, but she's been replaced by Izzy Goodwin, who certainly gives that physical presence and that eye for goal. Cascarino as well, talked a lot about her so far this afternoon, so a good chunk of time for these players to make a big impact.
So Godfrey and Paris both withdrawn. Confirmation as well that Marlon Marchetto, the Dane who was signed in the winter transfer window, is off. And the extremely experienced Sweden international Rodar's on. Viva Jones weaves, lays it off for Thompson. Well blocked Fernandez. Captain, Baltimore well robbed. And Gayoro tries to skip forward for London City after an almighty fright.
Just took a little bit too long there, Thompson. I think she had to hit it first time, maybe wanted a bit more on the pass from Beaver Jones. I wondered if she might have a touch herself, but yeah, I think Alyssa Thompson with that touch just allowed the recovery, and then the chance was gone. But that would have been the worst possible case for London City Lionesses, who've just made a triple substitution to make an impact. To concede straight away would have been disaster.
Baltimore, Sawi. Sangari steps out. Bodies flying about all over the place. No foul, Cuthbert down, but referee allows play to continue. London City Lionesses won't stop. They're trying to move the ball here. Rodar needs to shield the sun from her eyes as she picks out Fernandez with the pass. And there's Sawi again.
I think the referees let quite a lot go this afternoon in terms of challenges that often are given as fouls. I think that is just a coming together. It's a strong challenge from Gayoro, but I don't think there was a foul in there, but it doesn't mean that it's not sore for Erin Cuthbert.
Grace Gayoro, a player you've come up against before, Helen. You're perhaps surprised she hasn't had more of an impact since that big money move from PSG.
Yeah, I'm used to her influencing games so heavily on the international stage, you know, as a midfielder, but scores goals as well for France. And I don't feel like I've seen enough from her, and I don't know if that's that she's just taken time to settle into the league, or if the way that London City Lionesses have played hasn't really lent itself to the midfielders. We talk that we haven't seen much of them, but is that the system or is that the players? I can't quite work it out at the moment, and maybe that's the problem. Can't quite see what type of team they want to be, and that won't help players. Saying that, when you come for a big price tag and with that sort of profile, you do expect a little bit more from those sorts of players.
Aggie Beever-Jones is down at the moment. She's in real pain holding her ankle.
Yeah, she's had trouble, I think, with her ankles. Whether it's that ankle in particular, I'm not sure, but you just saw that I think she stood half on the foot of one of the London City players, and as her foot's planted, it's just rolled ever so slightly, and that can really be sore. And if she is having problems with her ankles, that's not going to help. Happened in the last game. I saw her playing as well, not the cup final. Just before that, I think that is a problem area for her, and she does look in an awful lot of pain. It looked innocuous, but there was certainly a little bit of a roll.
She looks really upset here. She has teammates around her as well.
It's ever so slight. It's honestly, it's really hard to see, but it's Rhoda's foot, and half of her foot steps on top of her opponent, and as she sort of put her full weight on it, it's really quick, really subtle, but there's a little movement that's just rolled. And as I said, if she's got a weakness in that area anyway, which I think she has, it's obviously causing her a lot of pain. I'd imagine she's probably got it strapped up, but it doesn't look good for her.
Yeah, let's see if she's able to continue here. Lucy Bronze was ready to go. There's going to be further changes, because Naomi Girma, who's back today from a calf problem, is going to come on. Kira Walsh is ready as well down there. She'll get back to her feet here, Beever-Jones, but she looks reluctant to put any real weight on that.
Yeah, it's really causing her some discomfort, isn't it? She looks beside herself. It's not comfortable at all.
Here's the triple change, and I wonder if that's going to prompt a little tweak from Bompasta, but look at this here. I suppose if it is a recurring problem or some kind of issue, you know when you're hurt. Hence why she appears to be visibly upset down there on the touchline.
Yeah, we saw similar last week with Natalie Bjorn, didn't we? Just after coming on, she knew instantly that something wasn't right. And forgive me, I'm not sure if it was a recurrence of the injury that had kept her out, but it was, she knew in that moment, was again visibly upset. And it's really hard for these players. They work so hard every day.
Trying to get in here, London City. It's great running to the byline. Off and just directed wide. Chelsea for the moment down to 10, and a chance for Cascarino with that player advantage.
Yeah, she's got to take that first time, surely. An excellent run on the left from the substitute Corrales. Great pullback, just she's got to hit that first time. She gives an opportunity. I'm not quite sure who it was that blocked it in the end. It gives Chelsea that chance to recover. I think it's a combination of Sawi and Berman. That has to be in the back of the net for London City.
So here come the changes now. Beever-Jones does make way, and Kira Walsh, having started in the week, is into the action. Good news for Chelsea that Naomi Girma is back from injury. And it is the player making her first start, Chloe Sawi, who makes way, having played so well at left back. And Kadisha Buchanan, who they're of course being careful with, aren't they, after her long absence out with an ACL injury. And a huge cheer, unsurprisingly, for Lucy Bronze.
Yeah, I think there's probably a lot of planning in at least a couple of those substitutions there. I don't think it's anything performance related. Interesting to do it at a defensive set piece though.
Let's see if they're set here, Chelsea, for this delivery. And sure enough, there's Lucy Bronze to head it away. Baltimore. Looking for Thompson, who actually played it forward to her in the first place. London City look pretty set here. Patterson in the way of Thompson.
Just trying to work out the shape now that Chelsea have taken up. Obviously taken off a centre forward and not really replaced her with an attacking player. Kira Walsh coming into the base of the midfield. Has Erin Cuthbert gone out to right back?
She has been drifting out to that side, hasn't she, a little bit today, but
Lucy
really hugging that
Bronze,
touchline now.
Lucy Bronze and Germer seem to be at the heart of the defence.
And Nuskin has gone from right back, it would appear, to kind of playing through the middle or near the middle of the attack.
Yeah, and Berman's come out to the left, I think.
Cascarino looking to test Bronze just into the game. Cascarino. Nice turn by Patterson, but she actually ran into further Chelsea players. Thompson looked to try and take on Rodar for pace, but managed to get a body in the way. No Sam Kerr, of course, for Chelsea right now, who, of course, could come in up front because she's been playing for Australia. And if you're late to joining us, Australia beaten by Japan in the Asia Cup final by 1-0.
Makes you question maybe the fitness of Lauren James, perhaps. That would have been a change that would have perhaps made a little bit more sense with Beaver Jones's injury. She could have come and played in that false 9 or gone out wide and Alyssa Thompson through the middle. So I wonder if there's something they're trying to protect a little bit there with her. You know, she has had some fitness issues this season and played midweek, so perhaps that's in their thinking, but it's a very different lineup now to what it was at the start of the game, that's for sure, in terms of personnel and where they're all playing.
Herman at left back, it would appear right now, for Chelsea as well. It's not forward by Germer. And the ball over the top, well intended and well executed to Baltimore. Santi Baltimore trying to get past Sangare. Trying a few of her tricks, but doesn't get the favourable angle. Walsh gets it back again, Walsh. Baltimore does have her crossing angle now. Ball's excellent. And Nuskin was the player attacking it. Goodwin tries to hold it up, but unable to do so. Good feet from Berman. And in the end, backheeled into a London City player in Gayoro.
It's taken a bit of a lull, the game, in the last few minutes with that injury, of course, to Aggie Beaver-Jones. Neither side has sort of stepped it up since then, but at 1-0, it's still very much, you know, something that London City can go after.
It's a good ball from Fernandez. Goodwin trying to get onto it. Looks like they're kind of deploying Izzy Goodwin out on that right side of the attack here, Helen, rather than through the middle.
Yeah, which is interesting because, you know, you look at her physical stature, you would assume that she'd be going into the number 9 role, but Cascarino seems to be taking that up at the moment, and that's where she was when she was found in the box for that opportunity.
London City on their worst run of the season right now. Their maiden Barclays WSL season, of course. the 3 defeats in a row. In fact, it's just 1 win in their last 8. Eda Maestra, as head coach, has 1 win in 6 since he came in at the start of January.
Yeah, it's been a tough spell for them, and I think making that change in January is difficult. To come in the middle of a season, yes, you've got a transfer window, but you don't get loads of time on the grass with your team. You know, players would have been off in that Christmas period, going back home and, you know, spending time away from the training ground. So you don't get that sort of pre-season that you get in the summer. So to make that change and come in and try and potentially change the style of play as well, working with a group of players that you don't necessarily know in a whole load of detail, it's tough. And for the players as well to adapt to a new coach, it's not easy.
Linari's ball forward is outstanding, and the touches are really good too. Goodwin back in, and Hampton pushes it away. More players arriving in sky blue, but a super move from London City, and Cascarino was waiting in the middle.
Yeah, again, she's looked lively since coming on, and Goodwin as well. There was half a moment there where I wondered if it had opened up for a little chip. Just there as she brings it down, Hampton's way off her line, and a player of Cascarino's quality, I think she should have chipped her before playing it out wide to Izzy Goodwin.
20 minutes to play. Worked out by Cascarino. Oh, flicked goalwards, Berman away. Baltimore trying to break here for Chelsea. But London City have had their openings, haven't they, in this second half? And I suppose this is case in point, Helen, of the very thing you told us about at the start of the game.
This is absolutely the story of their season. I think they have been better in this second half so far than they were for the most part of the first. But again, it's those opportunities that are going to waste. And against a Chelsea side, you don't know how many more you're going to get. And up the other end, you don't know how quickly Chelsea might create chances of their own. So, yeah, while they're still in the game, very much at 1-0 down, things can change quickly. And if you keep wasting opportunities, it can really come back to bite you.
Here's Linari. Held up by the experienced Italian.
I can't move on from that opening there. I just felt Cascarino, the chip was on. Hannah Hampton was so far out of her goal, and she took it down so beautifully with that first touch. It just, if she'd have had a quick look up, the little chip was on, and that would have been a really great way to announce yourself as a London City player.
Batson does work it back to Lete, who's actually been pretty quiet in this second half, but nervy moments here for Chelsea.
Yeah, certainly, and with the changes they've had to make, you know, moving the players around, Cuthbert being at right back, and she was quite influential in that first half in the middle of the pitch. It's not ideal for them. Players coming back from injury, playing in the middle of the back line. A completely new back line, effectively.
Price whips it in, Cascarino was there. Here's the chance, and Fernandez has her effort blocked. You can see her desire to get forward from right back, and it's another chance to add to the list.
Yeah, she's had a good game, and she's had a couple of moments where it's almost happened for her and her team, but again, wanted a touch. Could she have hit it first time? I'm not sure, but as soon as you have a touch in the penalty area, 9 times out of 10, you're going to get closed down. Missed there by Berman at the back post. It would have been difficult to hit first time, but this is the chance just there. There's an opportunity for me where she could dink that over Hannah Hampton, and she would have had very little chance if it was executed properly. All very easy to say when you're sat in a commentary box.
It certainly is. But I'll take your word on it, Helen, that was a real chance for London City to get their leveller. Goodwin trying to bring it under control. Sankare, Fernandez on the outside. 3 in the penalty area. Berman shuts it down, and they've looked relatively threatening from these corners too.
Yeah, they have. They've looked good, and arguably, you know, after going out wide to Goodwin, she does then get on the end of the cross and gets an effort on target. So if that goes in, nobody's talking about an attempt at maybe a chip. So, you know, it's such fine margins at this level, but they certainly, in the last 10 minutes or so, since Aggie Beaver-Jones went off with that injury, London City Lionesses are the ones that have stepped it up. And they do look the closest to scoring at this point.
Hampton whips it in. And will it fall? Yes, it will, but Hampton, goodness me, has pushed that onto the crossbar. Julia Rodar was one of those in the middle. What a chance.
Another great delivery from Pattinson. Players causing problems. Rodar gets a good effort. She can't do much more, you know, she's being crowded out. Oh, that's a good save from Hannah Hampton. Reflexes were top there.
Another Pattinson delivery, and it was met at the near post by Cuthbert. Well, you could probably hear Hannah Hampton there saying it was already out, but Chelsea are going to have to defend another one.
Yeah, I mean, that was probably the least effective of the corners we've seen from Pattinson so far, but whether it was out already or not, we'll probably never know, but she gets another opportunity now.
Chelsea just about defending these. Oh, and it actually may have hit the back of Gayora. I think another corner's been awarded. She was certainly the player attacking it.
Yeah, it was missed at the near post, wasn't it, by someone? I don't know, I think maybe Lucy Bronze. Does it come off her in the end? Can they make one count?
They've certainly got that physical presence in there as well. It's right in on Hampton, who pushes it. Linari, Aslani, off the line. Chelsea survive again. Looked like it was Erin Cuthbert back there to save Chelsea. Cascarino. She's livened up things too. Corrales, Cascarino, great football. Sangari challenging, staying forward from centre back. Thompson slips, Chelsea can't get the ball. Rodar keeps going. Headed away in front of the goalkeeper. Well, extraordinary spell of pressure, and with 15 minutes to play, remarkable London City haven't scored.
It is the changes that London City have made have really made a difference to the team in terms of what they're offering going forward. I think similarly the changes that have been forced upon Chelsea have maybe not helped them, and disrupted their way of playing. But yeah, credit to London City, they're really trying to pile on the pressure, but it's still, they've got nothing to show for it, and that's where the problem lies.
Berman coming away with it, but they're going to get it back. Gayora wins it, and suddenly London City's midfield as well seem a bit more busy out there.
Yeah, I think Rodar, Cascarino, Goodwin, they've all made a positive impact on the game from an attacking perspective for London City Lionesses.
Yeah, Aslani's effort. Look at Cuthbert just holding a position on the line.
Yeah, I mean, it didn't have enough pace on it really to trouble Chelsea, but Erin Cuthbert was in the right place. You know, if she's not there, the chances are that does go in the back of the net, but you know, that's Erin Cuthbert through and through, isn't it? Puts her body on the line for her team. Been a fantastic servant for Chelsea over the years, playing out of position at right back right now.
Well, let's check in on some of the other scores in the midday kickoffs in the Barclays WSL. All of them can kind of factor into Chelsea's season here, starting with Arsenal, because they're now 3-0 up on lowly West Ham, who are set to stay in 11th position. Alicia Russo and Chloe Kelly have scored for the Gunners in the second half. Manchester United are still 1 up on Everton. Everton going into that game after a 4-game winning streak. Elizabeth Turland's effort on 38 minutes is the difference there right now. And another game involving a Manchester club. City, well, by half-time they were 5-1 up on Tottenham Hotspur. Bunny Shaw's got 3 of them, 3 goals in the opening 21 minutes. And as that approaches the closing stages too, it's still Manchester City 5, Tottenham Hotspur 1.
Now that is a player I do enjoy watching, Bunny Shaw.
Comfortably the top scorer in the league right now. Lauren James, by the way, has come on here for Chelsea as what I make to be their final substitution of the afternoon.
She sneaked on the pitch without us noticing.
Got the opening goal in the cup final. Clipped into the middle, and it's a little nick on the way through that gives Chelsea a corner, and just a breather from defending, really.
Yeah, and I wonder if that's the thinking behind that change, to try and give a presence again in that top line. You know, I'm not saying she's going to go and hold players off in terms of a traditional number 9, but the way she keeps hold of the ball at her feet makes it very difficult for an opposition defender to get it off her.
Well, we saw that Sjoeke Nuskin had actually gone up front, but she's made way now for James in that position. As Cuthbert swings it in, really well punched by Lette. Here's Kira Walsh. Walsh's delivery had pace on it, but not the correct direction.
Yeah, looks like James is just going into that central forward position, as you mentioned, up alongside Baltimore and Thompson. It's not a bad front three, is it?
No, it's pretty good. And we saw her hassling and pressing ability in the League Cup final to fluster Dominic Janssen, really, for that opening goal in Bristol.
It's probably something she's not given enough credit for, Lauren James. You know, because she's got that sort of style, it looks like it's kind of a nonchalant style, but she does work really hard off the ball.
Up against Cascarino there for a moment. Fernandez. So into the final 10 minutes of the game. Chelsea have now used all of their changes. Sonia Bompasta with some real squad management going on, given the Arsenal game in the Champions League in the week. Super pass, and they might be in here, London City. Oh, what a save from Hampton, but Goodwin! They deserve that. And Izzy Goodwin from the bench has levelled the game for the hosts of the Den. A super counter-attacking move, and despite the heroics of Hannah Hampton, she couldn't keep the hosts at bay. 1-1.
That's a really good goal. That is exactly what London City Lionesses deserve. I was pointing there for Cascarino to find the ball, and that's where, you know, maybe having players playing out of position, you know, nothing against Erin Cuthbert, but she's not a right back. And that ball was into Corrales' feet. It's a decent strike. It's a really good save from Hannah Hampton. That's where she wants her defenders to help her out. But Izzy Goodwin doing what all good forwards do in there to finish it off. Brave with her head. She'll really enjoy that, because I think there's been a little bit of criticism levelled at her recently that she doesn't finish enough chances. Fantastic season last season, of course, in the Championship, but that'll do a lot for her confidence, and it's exactly what London City deserve.
And Chelsea right now, in terms of the Champions League race, dropping points. Not long after bringing on Lauren James. That's a super pass from her. Oh, and Chelsea with the chance at cap time as the player slipped him a few yards from goal.
Yeah, nice play from Chelsea. I think if that's a Lauren James getting on the end of that pass instead of Lexi Potter, or a player that's maybe got a few more games under their belt, they're not looking for a pass there. They're looking to finish it off themselves, trying to be unselfish, trying to do the right thing. But actually, I think she should have put her foot through that and tried to score. It's a great position to take up. Have a go. You know, she tried to find her teammate. It's too much on it for Captain to control. I think there she's made such a fantastic run. She's checked who's around her. She can see she's in space. I think have a go across the goal there, make the keeper work, and then you might pick up the rebounds if it doesn't go in.
Well, much like the London City goal, I imagine, right, Helen, as a forward, does that play in your mind? Well, if I have a shot, it might still get spilt up by the goalkeeper, even if I don't score here.
Absolutely. You get taught from a young age that if you're a little bit wide, go across the goal, because if it doesn't go in straight in from you, it might take a deflection, or the goalkeeper might parry it into an area. If you make them make a save and keep the ball alive, then you've got every chance. But I think there she maybe gets caught between two minds and almost drills the pass at Captain, and it's impossible for her to control. If she'd have done that towards the goal, you might be looking at a different outcome.
Looks like Kira Walsh has picked up a yellow card here since her introduction. Late with that challenge. If you're a London City player right now, maybe you sense there's an opportunity here to get a famous win for your club.
Absolutely, and they're certainly in the ascendancy and have been for quite some time in this second half. And, you know, I've talked so much about the changes for either team, and so far, I'd say the changes that London City Lionesses have made are far superior to the ones that Chelsea have made, which I never thought I'd say. But in terms of the way that it's impacted the game, it's had much more of a positive influence for London City than the Chelsea changes have so far. There is still time for Lauren James to completely prove me wrong, of course.
Well, Edemeister will be surely delighted with this second half performance. Aslani's delivery, and it was nodded down, and I think Goodwin, with that aerial presence, is the player to meet that again.
Yeah, and at the moment, it looks like Chelsea hanging on, doesn't it?
I think you made the point, Helen, when they made that triple substitution. Yes, two of the players in the back four now were already on the pitch, but none of that back four were in those positions before the changes. They've completely rejigged it.
They have, and you know, I understand that the likes of Germa needs minutes coming back from injury, and Buchanan probably couldn't play the full 90. But why take Nushkin out of the right-back role? OK, she's not a right-back, but she'd been playing there the whole game, and Cuthbert had been doing pretty well in the middle.
Both wingers have been taken off, haven't they?
Yeah, it's really, really interesting. Even Chloe Sawi, why? I don't see why she's come off. I think she had a really strong game. You know, nothing in her performance suggested that she was going to be under too much pressure in the closing stages. Yes, she's very young, but are you telling me she couldn't last 90 minutes? I'm not so sure. I don't feel that she was under any undue sort of pressure on that left side for Chelsea. So a couple of strange changes I find, and not to bring Lauren James on in that moment as well when you're down a forward.
Baltimore flicked back by Berman. Chelsea have picked up 5 wins in their last 7 league games. Prior to that, they'd won 2 of 7, which is unthinkable by their high standards, but beaten by Arsenal and Manchester City in this most recent run otherwise. Thompson can't quite get away from Patterson. Bronze blusters into the box. Aslani, great feet from the experienced forward who's still got some energy here to skip forward, and she's absolutely wiped out. And Thompson, I think it was Thompson back defending, is the player to get the yellow.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure how she ended up being the last line of defence there, Alyssa Thompson. She's done what you call taking one for the team. I think she's filling in for Lucy Bronze, who'd gone on one of her runs. And if she's anything like me, she'd have been not too happy about being the last line of defence there. But she, yeah, does just enough to halt Aslani, but takes a yellow card for her troubles.
Well, Aslani just catching her breath, but let's have a reminder of the well-worked goal that has London City level here. Cascarino to Corrales before Izzy Goodwin with her 4th league goal of the season.
Yeah, I really enjoyed that goal. OK, it's a save in the first instance, but the pass through from Cascarino, the run from Corrales, and then, of course, the poacher's finish from Goodwin.
Whipped in towards Goodwin. Put back in. Goodwin in search of a winner in the 89th minute of the game.
Yeah, we spoke earlier about what this would mean to the club if they could get a win against a big fish. I feel like they're on the edge of potentially doing that, but they need to take one of these chances.
Got it back again here, London City. Kira Walsh, Lauren James. So at least get Chelsea up the field here. And she's run into trouble. Oof. Gayoro, I think, was punished for actually a bit of a shirt pull prior to that. These are the live standings right now. Manchester City set to go 8 points clear because Chelsea are dropping points here. United going above Chelsea because they're just about beating Everton. Elizabeth Durland's the goal the difference there. Arsenal are winning too, and we'll have 2 games in hand on Chelsea. They're 5-0 up on West Ham.
Wow, it's certainly a different sort of season at the top end of the table, isn't it? We're so used to Chelsea running away with things and maybe one team challenging, but you know, the Champions League race at least is in full force with the 3 teams beneath Manchester City. You feel that the league is almost done and dusted in that sense, but yeah, it feels a bit different, which is nice. You know, for a neutral, you don't want it to be the same every year, and we want teams to catch up. It would be unthinkable to think of Chelsea out of the Champions League, but who knows?
Captain tries to slip it through. That's really well picked off by Sangare. Cascarino, she has added quality. 6 added minutes. There is still time for someone to win this game at the Den.
Yeah, it's been a really exciting last 25 minutes or so from a London City perspective. Anyway, you know, if it ends like this, you'll feel that they'll be disappointed to only get a point because they put so much pressure on.
Cuthbert moved on by Potter. Would it be fair to say, I mean, I've just said Lexi Potter's name, I felt I was saying it all the time in the first half, that Chelsea's midfield has kind of gone quiet in the second.
Yeah, absolutely. And I don't think that it's a coincidence that that's probably since Erin Cuthbert moved out into the right-back position. She's so influential in there. You know, we saw Lexi Potter pop up not too long ago with a half chance, but yeah, much quieter in that middle of the park for Chelsea. It's been a bit more of a transitional game, I think, altogether.
Ito to launch. She's made big saves when called upon. It's down by James. Pop round the corner by Sangare. Is kept in play to Cascarino. A lot of their French stars out there right now, London City. Berman. Walsh. Turned out nicely. We know Chelsea can win ugly. They have that winning quality in their repertoire. Sunday Baltimore hasn't really had too much of an impact in the second half, I think we could say as well for Chelsea. James. What can she see? And it will run through to the goalkeeper. While we wait for London City to get the move going, let's get your Barclays player of the match, please, Helen.
I'm going to go a little bit rogue and choose a player that hasn't been on the pitch for an awful long time, but I just think the impact that Delphine Cascarino has had on the match has been top. You know, it wasn't an assist in the end, but her pass through to Corrales for the equaliser. I'm probably doing a bit of a disservice to Fernandez at right back. I think she's been exceptional for London City as well. Poppy Pattinson, I think they've dealt with the wide players of Chelsea superbly, but I'm a former forward, so I'm biased, so I'm going to give it to Cascarino.
That's completely fine. We welcome that. Foul by Walsh. And Captain with an excellent piece of running here. One of Chelsea's starters today still has some energy. Can they work it? James just didn't have the ball speed to reach her. Captain with it. Now Thompson. And there's only players in sky blue on the penalty spot as Asllani hacks it away. Slightly kind of playing a more withdrawn role since all of those London City Lionesses attacking changes.
Yeah, I don't mind it though. I think she's good in a slightly deeper role.
Lauren James drives for goal. You would not put it past her.
No, you wouldn't. You wouldn't ever write off a Chelsea team, in all honesty, especially one with Lauren James in it. But there's been a bit of sort of huffing and puffing from them in the second half. It's not gone to plan, and it's something I've seen all too often this season from a Chelsea perspective. But a lot of that is due to the renewed energy and the performance of London City Lionesses. We have to give them so much credit.
Well, how about this from Everton? In the 90th minute, Imma Gabaro, who was so influential off of the bench against Spurs last week, well, she's just scored to make it 1-1 at Manchester United. So it looks like Chelsea will hold on to second for now. Some big points being dropped this afternoon.
Yeah, all starting to wobble a little bit, some of the bigger teams. Of course, all plays into the hands of Manchester City, who dropped points last week and, of course, lost to Arsenal before the international break. They'll be pleased to be home and hosed in their game.
Final seconds of the game. Let's just belted it into a teammate. That'll count as a completed pass, I imagine, won't it, exactly. On the stats?
It's all about the stats these days.
Jabbed forward by Rodar. Thompson. Still going here, Alyssa Thompson. Final seconds. Dare Chelsea do something late? Thompson up against Patterson, who's also had a really good game at left back, just held up. Bronze, 50th appearance for Chelsea today. Well won back by the player of the match, Cascarino. And there is the full-time whistle. Well, some result this for London City Lionesses to hold the losing streak. The introduction of Delphine Cascarino in the second half crucial, as she was heavily involved in the build-up to the equalising goal in the 81st minute. Scored by striker Izzy Goodwin, her fourth league goal of the season. And it means that Chelsea dropped 2 points after her well-placed header into the closing stages of the game. Chelsea were actually ahead at half-time. Johanna Rtink-Kanerid's strike giving them the lead, but the champions drop points as it finishes London City Lionesses 1, Chelsea 1.
LondonCityLionesses.com. Ticket just £6 for kids and £16 for adults. Until then, have a safe journey home. Thank you for being a part of today, and we'll see you on the 26th.
Well, embraces, handshakes from both sets of players. We'll get to the disappointment here for Chelsea, surely, but first of all smiles for Izzy Goodwin and London City Lionesses here, Helen.
It is in a way, but I expect both teams will be a little bit disappointed with the result of that in the end. I think the way that London City Lionesses finished that game, you know, even before the equaliser, they were the team on top, and they're probably a bit gutted that they didn't go on to win that, because that was a huge opportunity to do so, and they would have arguably, in fact, I really think they would have deserved that. Chelsea will be disappointed for a different reason, in that they didn't make their first half dominance count. Again, it wasn't one of those performances that was free-flowing. They were looking for little bits of magic from the likes of Thompson, Baltimore and James when they came on, but they just didn't quite come off this afternoon. The loss of Aggie Beaver-Jones is also a difficult one to take, another injury for them to deal with. We can see there she looks a little bit down in the dumps, Aggie Beaver-Jones, and you know, those little things just keep going against Chelsea at the moment. And at the minute, I talked about a different sort of treble, but they're sort of dragging themselves along after a good run of form. It seems to have gone back to how they were playing earlier in the season, at least on the back of this performance.
London City get in their huddle, and after 3 league defeats in a row, for the new head coach, relatively new head coach Ed Meister as well, that feels like a significant performance.
Yeah, I think so, and I think we saw more of what he would want from his team, as I said, particularly in that second half. They've had a habit of starting halves really strongly and then fading as the game goes on, but that second half, I think they were excellent pretty much for the whole 45, 50 minutes that they were out there, and as I said, just probably disappointed in the end not to take 3 points from it.
Yeah, his second Barclays WSL win as head coach after his January appointment. We talk about a team adjusting to the league, but you look at the quality they could bring from the bench. They have real depth. They do have depth. So it's just about trying to find that team and getting it to gel. How will Chelsea's head coach reflect on what we've seen here today?
Yeah, I think she'll be disappointed with the manner that they sort of played in that second half. Again, some things out of their control, the injuries and, you know, some changes that I expect were planned in terms of a player protection point of view, Buchanan being one of them, Germer only, getting a certain amount of minutes and things like that. They're things that the manager can't really control, but they're still a team full of world-class players who you would expect, once they get up in a game against a newly promoted side, albeit a very different one in London City Lionesses, she would have expected a little bit more from her team in terms of performance and putting the game to bed once they got themselves 1-0 up.
Well, bear in mind, prior to this game, London City had lost all 6 matches against the top 4, but they've picked up a point today. Chelsea did have quality of their own to turn to in the likes of Walsh and Baltimore from the bench. But do you feel the substitutions, that raft of changes, everyone shifting position, it felt like, maybe unravelled Chelsea a little bit out there?
Yeah, it was such a different lineup by the end of the game to the one that started it. I don't think taking Chloe Sawi off was necessarily the right thing to do. I think she'd had a fantastic game when you consider how young she is, and playing in a position on the left side of the defence. I thought she did exceptionally well. I don't really see the point in changing that, which then, as you said, meant the rest of the back 4 was affected, and I think that just unsettled the team, and they never really got any rhythm back after that.
Well, let's hear from the player of the match, speaking to our reporter Charlotte Marsh, Delphine Cascarino.
The interview with Delphine Cascarino for Sky Sports and the World Feed. Delphine, your second appearance for London City this afternoon. What do you make of it?
It was hard. I need more rhythm, but I'm really happy to be back on the field, and really happy for this point.
And you played a nice ball for Izzy Goodwin's goal as well. What do you make of the game overall?
Can you repeat? Sorry, I didn't.
You played a nice ball through for the goal, the equalising goal. How do you assess the game overall today?
We tried to push hard, to do a good pressing, and that's why I recovered the ball in the middle on the field, and then I saw Lucia running deep, so I gave her the ball, and now she did all the stuff.
And it brings an end to a run of 3 losses for London City in the WSL. That must be really positive to take forward for the remainder of the season.
Yeah, it's positive to have a point today. It was a really tough game, so yeah, we were brave, and we didn't give up at the end. We keep going to push, and that's why we scored the goal at the last minute.
Well, Delphine, congratulations. You are the Barclays WSL Player of the Match. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Yeah, an excellent second half performance from Delphine Cascarino to have helped inspire the equalising goal. We just saw Michelle Kang, didn't we, out there as well, the owner of London City Lionesses, congratulating her players who Helen Ward had to really fight for this, having gone behind in the first half.
They did, yeah. They didn't quite show up as well in the first half as they did in the second, but just seeing that goal from Ritten Cannerid, a nice bit of play. Buchanan up to Aggie Beaver-Jones and Cannerid finishing it really calmly into that bottom corner. And that looked like that was going to be the goal that set Chelsea on their way, but ended up not being the case.
Yeah, a super finish for her 7th goal in all competitions this season. But into the second half, they could have had their second goal when Aggie Beaver-Jones was slipped through.
Yeah, and I think Aggie Beaver-Jones needed that one to go in the back of the net, and so did Chelsea. I think if that goes in, then it deflates London City Lionesses completely, but the ball just gets caught under her foot after that first touch, and then the goalkeeper comes out well, Lete, to thwart her and deny her the goal.
Freya Godfrey was taken off seconds after this, but probably her best attempt of the day.
Yeah, she moved into a central role for the start of that second half and linked up well with Paris, who again had a pretty good impact before that substitution.
Izzy Goodwin was brought on along with Delphine Cascarino, and the two of them were instrumental in turning the tide.
Yeah, well, that was the opportunity where I thought Cascarino could have maybe tried to chip Hannah Hampton, but she gets on the end of the cross and almost scores with her head.
Hannah Hampton was far busier in the second half and did well here to keep out Julia Rodar.
Yeah, flurry of corners for London City really caused Chelsea some problems, and you just felt it was going to be one of those days. Hannah Hampton first with the save from Rodar, and then Aslani with a deflected effort that Erin Cuthbert cleared off the line. It was chaos in there at times, and you thought Chelsea are going to get away with this, they're going to scramble a 1-0 win. Getting bodies on the line.
But then the equalising goal, and Cascarino, the Barclays player of the match, involved, threading it through to Corrales. But it wasn't her who finished it off.
No, but it was a fantastic pass out to the left-hand side. It was a decent strike from a fellow substitute, Corrales, and then Izzy Goodwin, the 3 subs that came on in that second half, combining really well to finish off that chance. And Cascarino, we've seen just in these short highlights, she's been involved in everything since she came on. You know, real player for them, and I think she's going to go on to have an excellent career with London City.
16 goals in the second tier last year for Goodwin, 4 now in the top tier. Well, let's run through, wow, we've just seen that result from Manchester United. Scores elsewhere, so Arsenal with a big win to close the gap on Chelsea. Near the top of the table, a thumping win over 11th place West Ham as it finished 5-0 there. City were 5-1 up at half-time against Spurs. It did pull another goal back, but Bunny Shaw's hat-trick, the main factor in the league leaders claiming another victory. And the Manchester United, who conceded in the 90th minute an equalising goal, went on to win themselves as it finished Manchester United 2, Everton 1. So this is the league table, and that means Chelsea do not finish the day in second. They drop to third because of United's victory, and Arsenal close the gap to London City, stay mid-table. But the Champions League race compelling now, Helen.
It is indeed, and you know, we didn't think we'd get to the point this season where Chelsea were struggling for Champions League qualification. Arsenal, with those 2 games in hand, could be absolutely huge. They face each other in the Champions League. It's all getting very exciting, but Manchester City will be certainly very happy with their position at the top there.
Another dramatic day in the Barclays WSL, 4 games remaining for most of the teams in the top flight. We hope you've enjoyed our coverage from the Den this afternoon. My thanks to Helen Ward, my commentary partner today. From me, Rob Daly, it's goodbye as it finishes London City Lionesses 1, Chelsea 1.